So can we go to Roger now for a summing up?
Yeah, thank you, comrades. I think it's been an absolutely brilliant and inspiring meeting, and thank all the comrades for your participation. I'd like to say first something in reply to John Donne. John Donne represents absolutely the most heroic traditions of the miners' strike, the most heroic traditions of the working class, and I understand why, after all the defeats and all the betrayals, why and also all the vices of the sectarian groups and so on, why he's a little skeptical. But I would like to say why I think actually is a thirst for a united mass fight back. Yes, we don't see signs of a mass workers' party at the present time, but I think what we're seeing now is the calm before the storm. The atmosphere is absolutely electric. Why do I think that the prospects are so overripe for a new mass workers' party? Because, as they say in science, nature abhors a vacuum. So also politics abhors a vacuum. When there is a vacuum, the one huge gap in politics, in society today, is a party of the working class and a party straining for a new socialist society. Why do I say that? Well, first of all, let's look at the significance of this so-called landslide victory of the Labour Party. Labour had the support. Do comrades realise this? Labour had the support of just 20.1% of the registered voters in this country. Even among the less than 60% who actually voted, Labour and the Tory party together got just 57.4% of the vote. That's the lowest, I think comrades mentioned, since we had universal suffrage. The lowest turnout and the lowest vote for the main parties. Labour's vote has dropped from 12.9 million in 2017, which represented a huge advance under Corbyn over the last few elections, to 10.3 million in 2019, to 9.7 million in 2024. So the Labour base is slipping away. That's one of the reasons why there's a vacuum, and one of the reasons why that vacuum needs to be filled sooner or later by a workers' party. How did Labour win an overwhelming majority of seats? Only because in 2019 the Tories had an electoral pact with Farage's Brexit party, which gave them a huge vote, 14 million votes. This time, true, it had gone down to under 11 million votes, but the total vote for the Tories plus Reform still exceeded Labour's by 1.2 million. What a fantastic landslide victory of the Labour Party, as the press are trying to portray it. The most significant features of this general election results are: one, the record low turnout; two, the high vote for none of the above candidates, and that again is a sign that there is a vacuum, there is a gap, there is which needs to be filled by a genuine mass party of the working class. But we had not just the votes for Reform, but the votes for the Lib Dems, who got their highest number of seats, I think, in living memory; the Independents, who got about, I think, 9; Corbyn's huge majority; the near misses in Ilford and Chingford and some of the other areas that comrades have mentioned; and of course, most ominously, the 4 million votes for the racist, far-right Reform Party. Now, Britain, I'm afraid we have to see this. It's falling in line with the rest of Europe and with the USA and beyond of the resurgence in desperation and despair of the failure of the left, of the development of a far right. Despite their setback in Sunday's second round vote, the French far right almost doubled their representation in Parliament, and the far right are in government, from Finland and Sweden to Italy and Portugal, and soon perhaps in Germany and in Spain. And in Britain, the Tory split is coming very soon, and a realignment, and maybe even a fusion of the two parties. Johnson has already purged ruthlessly the old patrician establishment Tories, the Clarks and the Heseltines and so on. It's the end of centuries of traditional Tory rule. But despite its own hollow parliamentary victory, it's the end of Labour too, as a party that even nominally reflects the needs and aspirations of the working class. Because, as I say, there's this huge gap in British politics. The 500,000 who surged into Labour under Corbyn, we need a mass left alternative. And we know that however much we love and respect Jeremy Corbyn, he never had any intention of creating an alternative party. Having, to his utter surprise, won the leadership, he considered it his responsibility and his priority to hold the party together and to avoid a split. And it was, of course, a responsibility and objective ruthlessly and viciously stamped out by the right wing. He stood as an independent and got a tremendous victory, which itself is a guarantee, or at least a testimony to the probable success of a new mass left party on a national scale. But he did that not in defiance of Starmer, but in the hope of reinstatement into the fold, as had happened previously in a different era with Ken Livingstone. And Galloway, too, I agree with comrades who say he doesn't offer any hope. He's shamelessly running after the white xenophobic vote. I support British values, British troops, stopping immigration and all this sort of thing, and simultaneously chasing the Muslim vote. Not only quite correctly expressing solidarity with the population of Gaza, but also defending the horrible, medieval, theocratic Iranian regime. So the same with all the myriad new formations, all striving to fill the gap and unite the left with the best of intentions, certainly with good intentions, but they lack a solid organic base. They revolve around well-meaning individuals. They remain on the sidelines and often in competition with each other. And as Steve said at the beginning, and some comrades repeated it, the point is we want a program and not a leader. We're after a program and not a leader. We want a political banner, a political way forward, and not just revolving around this or that charismatic or sometimes not so charismatic individuals. So I think the skepticism that some comrades feel is misplaced, because look what we've seen in the last year or two. We've had a rise in strikes and in trade union militancy, and look who was involved mainly: railway workers, nurses, doctors, teachers, lawyers. And you know something? None of these groups of workers are affiliated to the Labour Party. And they will find, as did the trade unionists in Britain 125 years ago, that they need a political voice. And where will they turn? Are they going to turn to Starmer's Labour Party? They will have to find a way to organise themselves and to get representation politically. And then what about the other sections of the working class who are still organised in Labour Party affiliated unions? What about Unite, Unison, the GMB, etc., etc.? Yes, it won't be the top union bureaucrats of these organisations who will force a break with Starmer, but surely there will be a growing outcry from active rank-and-file militants within these unions saying, why are we paying our hard-earned wages, our hard-earned affiliation fees to this anti-union bosses government? Maybe it won't be immediately, maybe it'll take some time for that to percolate, but we need to outgrow the curse of harmful, childish sectarian traditions. In my constituency, for instance, we had 6 competing left candidates, all under various guises. And we stuck, this is Newham I'm talking about, Stratford and Bow, we stuck solidly with Steve Headley, who was an exemplary candidate, the chair of the local trades council, a proven, dedicated, militant trade union leader. And that was against all the assorted parvenus who had national campaigns and came in and really parachuted into the constituency without consulting the local activists or the local trade union militants. In France, it was the growing threat from the far right which overcame the old sectarian divisions to join forces and to establish a united front. But here too, despite the alarming growth of the far rights throughout Europe and beyond, the workers are not defeated. What can we do? We can organise, mobilise, campaign, link up our struggles together, launch a rank-and-file campaign for the creation of a party really representing the interests of the working class, the interests of Labour. The cartoonist of the 30s and 40s, David Lowe, who I think was the greatest cartoonist, only perhaps rivaled by Alan Hardman later, but David Lowe used to draw the trade unions as a cart horse. Powerful, solid, but very slow and very ponderous. Let's plan for a conference of activists without regard to political affiliation, but trade union militants, activists, campaigners in and out, within the trade unions and in other mass organizations, tenants organizations, particular lobby groups and so on. Let's get a plan, try to plan and build up support for a conference of activists without regard to their political affiliation, members of this or that group, political organisation, sect, it doesn't matter. But to give the cart horse a spur to take that step and build a mass party of the working class. So thank you, comrades.
Thank you very much, Roger, for that